Hi, and welcome back to another episode of Heart and Health Wellness. I'm so glad that you are here. And if you're new, I'm your host, Dr. Melissa Welch. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist who specializes in medical family therapy. And today we are talking all about bubbles. Yes, the kind that you put in your bathtub. And we're actually talking about how bubbles can, in a fun way, relate to your health and joyfulness and how it can protect your health. And so we're going to be focusing all about those micro moments of joy and how it's important to be able to find those and use those as an insulation to keep your well-being up where you want it to be. So if you're new here, we talk all about how to take care of yourself physically, but also emotionally and mentally, with your relationships, and also spiritually, and how you find purpose and meaning in life. And I try to do so in a way that keeps things very simple, easy to do, that you can apply to your real life. So that's what we're doing here. If you're new, I'm glad that you have found us, and I welcome you to keep showing up and hanging out. I took last week off. My little one was sick. He's doing much better now, thankfully, which is good because next week we're going to be celebrating his second birthday. And I don't know how that's already happening, but it's going to be a lot of fun. We have family coming in town, so it's going to be a big week. Let's go ahead and jump on in. Today we're talking a little bit about a fun fact that I learned it was an email from Calm, which is an app that I talk about on here sometimes for mindfulness and meditation. And it was a random fact at the bottom of their email that was like, did you know that bubbles keep your bathwater warmer longer? And I was like, that is totally bizarre. I've never heard that before. So I had to Google it to make sure it was true. And according to Google, it is in fact true. Apparently, this is the basic understanding that I'm going to try and relay to you. Bubbles help it stay warmer longer because it creates a surface layer of insulation that helps trap the heat in your bathtub, and then it helps to reduce the evaporation of your bath water. So those bubbles act as insulators, reduce the heat loss by limiting the surface area that is exposed to the air. Now that's a whole lot more physical sciencey than I like to get, or that's about as far as physical sciencey as I like to get. So we're going to keep it at that, but just know that there is actually a purpose behind adding bubbles to your bath, which I had never known before, and I thought that was pretty darn cool. And then, of course, like with many things, I think, how can that relate to our wellness and our health? And it occurred to me that there are certain like micro habits or micro experiences that we have that allow us to protect our wellness. When we talk about this, just quick side note, when I work with couples and I talk about relationships, you need a nice balance of good things, good times, and every now and then there's going to be bad times. But as long as you have that ratio, I think it's something like 7 to 1 or something. I need to look up John Gottman's research to confirm. But as long as you have a larger ratio of those good moments to the bad moments, your relationship's probably going to do pretty well. And the same is with the concept of our wellness. We're going to have challenges and issues that come up, but as long as we have these mostly positive moments that are keeping us going, it's going to help us feel like we're doing much better overall. And I think finding those micro moments of joyfulness that we'll be focusing on today helps protect our inner wellness and prevents us from feeling like we are draining too fast, to go along with that bath metaphor. So when we have a very chaotic life and a lot going on with our like everyday lives and just busy, 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 like our culture tells us that we need to do, that joy, those joyful moments that we experience insulate us from having things like burnout and stress fatigue and feeling disconnected from our loved ones. And so even if we'll go into more examples later, but those little moments insulate us and keep us well. I just thought it was a nice metaphor that my brain kind of thought up. And so we're going to actually break that down today, and you can kind of get a glimpse into what happens in my brain. So let's talk about the biopsychosocial spiritual power of joy. And first of all, let me say, I think we've talked about this on a previous episode before, but I'll say it again. Joy is different from happiness. Happiness kind of ebbs and flows, but joy is more connected to well, feeling connected with those around you, with a greater purpose in life, and feeling like you are able to ebb and flow with life as it comes and goes because you have this inner joy and peace. So let's talk about it from a biological lens first. So there is actual science, neuroscience, that states that joy boosts neurotransmitters like dopamine, endorphins, and oxytocin. And all of those are going to help you feel good, feel happy, be excited, feel energized. Those are the good feeling hormones that are going to give you that nice boost of energy and feeling like you are enjoying life. It also helps lower the negative things like cortisol, which is the stress hormone. So it's going to help you feel more relaxed. It supports your immune health. So if you have joyfulness in your life, you're less likely to get sick and come down with sickness when it's going around. And it also helps regulate things like your heart rate and your sleep. So even, for example, if you wear a smartwatch and you notice that your heart rate is high, it might be good for you to pause and take some deep breaths. But also if you think about something that brings you joy or makes you smile, it will help you lower your heart rate. And similarly, if you are laying down, even if you're stressed with what's gone on during the day, you're trying to wind down, if you think about some gratitude or things that bring you joy, it's going to help you fall asleep more easily and stay asleep longer. So I thought it was really neat to actually look at the physical science behind joy and realize that there really are protective factors that joy brings into your life on a physical level. So, for example, some of the like joy bubbles, we'll call them, in my life are playing with my son, having moments of silliness or goofiness and laughing with him. One of his favorite things to do right now is that we have this keyboard and there's a certain setting that you can put on that's kind of like, it reminds me of like an island kind of dance tune, right? Kind of reggae. It's not steel drums necessarily, but it's just kind of got a good bop to it. And so we just dance and we move our feet, move our hips. And of course, it makes us laugh because it's silly. But laughing with your kids, getting some morning sunlight. It's a great way to start your day and just kind of soak it all in. And then taking a dance break. So obviously that ties in with what I just mentioned, but even if you don't have a little one who's turning on sound effects on a keyboard, you can still take a dance break, turn on your favorite song, and just let it loose, even for a couple of minutes. It's going to help make a difference. So, those are just some examples of like joy bubbles that I find in my life that I think would be easy for you to find and implement in your life as well. Okay, so let's also talk about the psychological health components of our joy bubbles. So having micro joys, small things like noticing a flower growing through a crack in the sidewalk, or getting a text from a friend, or sending a text to a friend, or anything that's just going to help you smile or laugh and bring a little bit of joy. It does not have to be big or extravagant. It doesn't have to last a long time. It can be short micro moments. And I think that's the part that I really want you to take away from this, is that it doesn't have to be something that feels overwhelming or daunting. This can be little moments for you to find joyfulness throughout your day. That is going to help you build resilience. So when you do inevitably encounter those difficulties in life, having the things that can bring you back and center you is going to be so helpful in that resilience of being able to come back and keep making it through even when it's tough. I also want to note that that's different than the kind of toxic positivity and saying, well, there's nothing wrong. This isn't really an issue. No, we can acknowledge when it's challenging and still find those micro moments throughout the difficult seasons of life. Also, positive emotions will help broaden our attention and help us to reframe challenges. So instead of saying, this is just the worst thing that could ever happen in my life, maybe what are the opportunities for me to learn from this experience or grow from this experience? And also, in psychology, there's something called priming, and basically it's giving your mind or giving your brain something to think about, and then you notice those things more. So if I say something like, man, I haven't seen a yellow Volkswagen Beetle in a long time, there's a good chance that when I'm on the road, my brain is going to start watching for yellow beetles, and I might even find one. But when we prime ourselves for, I'm going to be joyful today, or I'm going to find moments of joy throughout my day, or I'm going to experience gratitude today, it primes our brain to be looking for those opportunities. So really opening up and expanding our perspective and our taking those blinders from focusing on something negative and opening it up so we can really view the positive things and the little moments of joy throughout our day. So I would encourage you to focus on how those joyful moments in your own life create that momentum for you to heal. If you think about something that's challenging that you're going through right now, what was a moment of joy that you noticed in the last week, and how has that helped you carry along, move along, even through this difficult season? Those little sparks of joy can reignite that sense of purpose and satisfaction with your current life circumstances, even when there are challenges. Okay, so now let's talk about social health. So, as I've mentioned with the example with my son, anytime you have a positive interaction with someone that you love and care about, that can really boost a lot of meaning and purpose in life and feeling good. And so, sharing that joy and just experiencing joy on your own is great, but sharing that joy with someone else makes it even stronger and really intensifies that bond that you have with the other person as well. I also use the example of like sending a text or receiving a text from a friend, and just know that it's okay if that's small. It brings you a smile, and it doesn't have to be like this ongoing hours of conversation or you're talking to them every single day. It can just be little moments of shared connection, really makes a big difference for you. So things like showing affection, whether that's physical affection or verbal affection, just being affectionate with one another, sharing inside jokes. I like to do that if I think of something that makes me laugh and reminds me of somebody. I like to just text them and let them know that I thought of them and keep it really short and simple, but just sharing those inside jokes is fun. Having traditions, things that you can celebrate on a regular basis, normal routine. All of that can be considered that kind of like social insulation that's going to keep you warm and keep you from getting cold and disconnected. So those are the little joy bubbles of relationships, finding ways to connect on a small micro level when you have space in your busy schedule. And I know I say this over and over again, but I don't want you to feel like wellness is something that is overwhelming and so hard to do and add it to this really long list of things that you have to do. It can be very small and manageable, so it can become part of your normal routine. So I want you to ask yourself, what are some of those joy bubbles that you share with others? Are there some that you shared in the past week that you can think of that you want to continue doing? Or is it hard to think of some of those connection joy bubbles that you maybe want to have in your life and didn't see in the last week that you could implement and make a priority this week? Just think about that for a moment and what those joy bubbles might be that you could share with others. Okay, and then on a spiritual level, for the spiritual domain of biopsychosocial spiritual health, joy connects us to a sense of awe and meaning and gratitude. And I think I've already talked a little bit about gratitude and even having like meaning and purpose in life today, but I haven't talked about awe yet today. But awe is really that sense of I'm smaller than this really big thing that's happening, and really kind of being in that humbling perspective, humbled perspective of recognizing that you're just a small part of something really, really big and just being mesmerized by it. The best way that I have found to experience awe is to get out in nature. Either to, for me, I'm at the beach in the Florida Panhandle. Sometimes just going down to the beach and noticing the vastness of the Gulf and just how expansive the beaches are. And even when they're full of people all over the place, just noticing how big and beautiful it is, and the water, and listening to the seagulls. It's absolutely wonderful. It's the thing that I enjoy doing the most that helps me stay connected and finding meaning in why I'm here in Florida and not closer to family. And it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing that. But even if you don't have a beach where you live, you can just go into your backyard and sit in the grass for a moment, or enjoy a campfire, or go somewhere where it's nice and quiet and go on a trail hike or something like that. But I think getting into nature is often a really nice way of doing that, noticing the little flowers, the leaves, the birds, whatever it might be, to really connect you and get that sense of awe and gratitude. Even the tiny moments that you experience with all of this, like the little bubbles in your bathtub when they're rising and they're popping, those little bitty moments remind us of the simplicity of life and the beauty of life. We do a really good job of overcomplicating things and making ourselves feel like we are so hectic and go, go, go all the time. And I think the practice of simply slowing down, no matter what you're doing, is really helpful at regulating your nervous system and getting to a place of feeling calm and peaceful. So whether that's while you're washing the dishes or driving to work or getting dressed and doing your makeup in the morning, or, for the guys, if you're not doing makeup, just getting dressed and making your coffee in the morning, whatever it might be, helping you to just go through your day more slowly and being more present to allow yourself the opportunity to have those little micro moments of joy and experience the joy bubbles of life. So I want to remind you that joy is a spiritual practice, something that we actively do and maintain that mindset throughout life, not just an emotional state that happens. So like I said at the beginning, happiness fluctuates. It comes and it goes. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're not. Joy is more a conscious choice of how we are viewing our lives and the circumstances that we're going through. And it's more a state of being, not just an emotional state that comes and goes. I hope that makes sense. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. I want to remind you about the perfect new mom gift if you are going to any baby showers or you have a new mom in your life that you want to wrap in love and comfort. The Cocoon is absolutely fabulous. That's the best, most comfortable, breathable, stylish nursing cover that I enjoyed thoroughly in that season of our life. They also have a new mama bundle that has a cocoon plus other goodies for new moms to enjoy. And they have beautiful jewelry. Like, I'm not wearing my necklace right now, but they have beautiful jewelry for moms that are engraved with mama and things like that she will really, really enjoy. And for our listeners, if you put in the code Melissa, MELISSA, you will receive 15% off your entire purchase. And it's a nice way to help support me and being able to make this podcast happen. So the next time you're shopping for a new mom, consider going to We Are Ama. They're a great women-owned small business based in the US and just a really lovely company that I like to support. So check them out. I'm going to leave their link to their website down in the show notes, and you can use the code Melissa for that discount. Okay, so I want to invite you to do a quick reflective practice based off of what we've been talking about today, and just do a quick check-in with yourself. So if you want, you can go ahead and get comfy. If you want to pull out a journal, you certainly are welcome to do that. If you just want to use your notes app in your phone, I think that's a great way to do it too. But even if you aren't writing this down and you're just thinking about it, give yourself a few minutes to go through this. You can certainly hit pause if you need to. But first question is, what are your joy bubbles right now? What are you experiencing today, or would you like to experience today that could be considered your insulating joy bubbles? When you've come up with a couple of those, then ask yourself, have you been letting joy evaporate too quickly? Have you been letting joy evaporate too quickly? And think about what are the things that keep it insulated in your life and where are the areas where it has opportunity to evaporate and let the heat escape. How can you implement some micro practices into your life to embed more joy, to have more joy bubbles, to keep you warm and at peace and content with where life is at right now? I'm going to share 5 joy practices with you that I think you can implement today or this week to help you keep that joy in your life and maintain that state of joyfulness. First one is to play a song that makes you want to move and groove. And while you listen to it, just allow yourself to dance and have fun. Whether that is while you're in the kitchen making dinner tonight, you use the spoon, you really get into it, go for it. I've certainly been there. Or if you're in your car and when you finish this episode, you just want to turn on a fun song and just let yourself jam and sing out loud with it, that is a great way to get some joy in your life. Number 2 is to sit outside for just a few moments and spot something beautiful. Now, I will say, I recognize as someone who lives in the Florida Panhandle that it is hot as heck this time of year. And sometimes if you go out, even for 30 seconds, you're going to start sweating. And if that's not for you, that's okay. But I would invite you to at least go stand by the window or your front door where you can see into your yard or some kind of space outside and just notice what kind of birds you're seeing or what kind of plants are out there, what the clouds are doing, what shapes they're in. Are they moving quickly? Are they moving slowly? Are there any clouds? Whatever it might be, just take in the outside, and if you actually go outside, enjoy the noises and the sights as well. Number 3 is might be a little out of your comfort zone, especially for those of us in the younger generations and those younger than me who don't like to be on the phone. I would encourage you to send a silly voice message to a friend. Now, if you have an iPhone like I do, this is a really easy thing to do. And I assume Android has an option like this as well. But if you didn't know this, you can actually record your voice, a short message, and send it as a text message to a friend. So this is a great way. If you don't have enough time to make an actual phone call and have a long call, you can still send a voice message so your friend can hear your voice and not just read it. This is a nice, fun way to try and do something a little bit different. Send a silly voice message, either, an inside joke or a tradition or something that you have with your friend, some kind of connection. Focus on that connection piece with that one. Number 4, light a candle or some incense or some, what is that thing called that I use over here? My essential oils. Put some essential oils in, something that's just going to be nice and relaxing, and just take a moment to sit quietly and breathe. Do that deep breathing where you're really slowing it down on the inhale and the exhale, especially. This is going to be a nice way to reset your nervous system and just get your body to calm down and relax. And if you pair it with something like lavender, that's going to be really helpful. If you need something that's a little more rejuvenating, something like eucalyptus can be really nice. Or if you want something that's just warm and cozy, I love a good vanilla candle. Whatever it might be, just allow yourself to take a little rest for a few minutes. And then number 5, say out loud at least one thing that you are grateful for. And this is a nice way of helping you to not only be thinking about it logically, but also like putting it into practice. I always say there's something about writing it down or saying it out loud that makes it much more tangible and helps you really feel connected with it. So those are your 5 options of putting joyful practice into practice this week. Now, of course, there's lots of other things you can do. And if you come up with something else and you try it out, please send me a picture of you doing it. And I would love to share that on my Instagram at Heart and Health Wellness. So if you're not already following me on there, find me there, connect with me, send me a message. You can also leave a comment wherever you're listening, whether it's on Spotify or watching on YouTube, and let me know what you did. But I love to see some pictures or even video would be great. So let me know what your joy bubbles are, what you're trying, and how it's keeping you warm and peaceful inside. And just know that I'm cheering you on, and I love to see that y'all are implementing wellness in small, tangible, bite-sized ways that make it feel doable and like it's applicable to real life and not just kind of this woo-woo trendy idea. I want to take a note real quick to let you know about something new that I just started offering. I created a 5-day wellness reset. So it's actually going to walk you through 5 days. Each day is going to be an opportunity to do some reflection on each area of your wellness and how you can improve it. And it gives you a practice to put in the work to actually make your wellness better. And then a nice day of reflecting over the whole process. I created it with love and thoughtfulness. And I also included a bonus in there of a daily check-in for you to be able to use to make sure that you're keeping up with your wellness and all of the important domains, biopsychosocial, spiritual domains. So if you want to check that out, I will put the link for it down below. It's super low cost, and I think you would enjoy using that if you're in need of a bit of a reset. Next week, we are going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be talking about what the Bible says about wellness and what that looks like. And even though the Bible doesn't use the term wellness like we use it today, it's very clear that biopsychosocial spiritual wellness is something that is aligned with biblical teaching. And as I was sitting through church today, I just kind of thought of that and did some brainstorming heartwarming, and I think it's going to be a fun episode. So tune in for that, whether you consider yourself a Christian and study the Bible or not. I think there's going to be good takeaways for you that can be applicable to your overall wellness. So stay tuned for that next week. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for tuning in today. As always, take care of yourself. And until next time, be well.